Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the AiNIN Natural Connection closing event. Please remember to switch off your mics if you are not speaking. We'll have time for a Q&A session at the end of the meeting. I'm Elena Redaelli. I'm an artist, a member of AiNIN, and I've organized and curated this program, which has been possible thanks to the collaboration of Rua Rivera for the editing video, social media, and to the support of the AiNIN Bureau members. I'm very glad to see you all together once again after 3 weeks. Thanks to our 7 artists for their commitment and artwork, for being flexible enough to adapt to the online format of the program, and for taking on the challenge of sharing their practices online and with other artists during the share studios. I hope this process has been rewarding for you as it has been for the people that follow your inspiring activities and talks. This is the first time AiNIN organized an online residency. With this program, we wanted to create a platform to display and consider different ways of working with nature as contemporary artists. This has been a central topic of discussion and reflection among many members of our network. We wanted to offer different perspectives by involving artists whose practices give a very diverse insight into the possibilities of art research when nature is at the core. We wanted to challenge, contaminate, rethink without giving a definition, but instead leaving loose ends to start a growing network of connections. Among the variety of approaches that our 7 artists have brought to us, we can outline some similarities. The need of finding a new, not hierarchical position for the artist in relation to the subject of their work, nature, the need to diversify the ways of communication with the environment and its constituent components, and with this, the need to dive deeper in profound connection with matter, air, animals, everything that surrounds us. Humans are equal to other beings, and our creation become a dynamic contamination among bodies. The works of the artists we have invited to participate are extremely sensitive and porous to the nature and this process. All of them have been developing their research with commitment, challenging their practices, and looking for a step out of their comfort zone. Some of the artists use their body and its movements to connect to land, growing plants, or sea creatures. Some experimented with sound and drawings in space, trying to give voice to the inanimate world of things. Some projects use coding and 3D scanning to dive deeper in the construction of natural shapes and their growth. Bringing together collaboration, research, art and science, speculative fabulation, these projects present such an inspiring window over the reach of art and its means. It's uplifting to witness how art cannot be restrained and is always morphing, developing, and evolving like nature is. Nature needs art in a caring and respectful way. We all need the ability to step beyond the now, generating new ideas by practicing critical and active thinking. Now I will briefly introduce our 7 artists and they'll present the project developed in these 3 weeks. If you have questions, you can keep them for the end of the presentations, and we have some time to share them. First, I would like to introduce Jabao from Honolulu. Jabao's work merges technology, art, and design. With her researches, she critically addresses important issues like human set beliefs, climate change, the consequences of technologies on human perception, identity, emotion, and sensation. Her mediums include wearable, robot, ER, VR, performance, software, and installations. She often collaborates with scientists, transforming numbers and statistics with her poetic and personal language. During this project, she has been working in close collaboration with octopus. Welcome, Jabao.
Since the beginning of the British Industrial Revolution, humans have become an important force affecting the evolution of the environment. Scientists call it the Anthropocene, which summarizes the geological changes from this period. After realizing the role of mankind, we once again placed mankind at the center of the world. Here I try to imagine a world that human is not the center of everything anymore, but octopus. We call it Cthulhucene. Global warming caused sea level rise, and all continents were submerged underwater. As a highly intelligent species in the ocean, the octopuses have unlocked the gene which causes them to self-destruct after giving birth, the optic gland that releases self-destructing hormone. Now they can pass on the wisdom of their ancestors from generation to generation. The Anthropocene ends, and the Earth enters Cthulhucene. If humans will inevitably become extinct due to environmental breakdown, how can we leave a legacy that means something? How can we design a really great extinction for ourselves so that our legacy will survive and the next dominant species will remember us with a little bit of tenderness and empathy? If the existence of art and design is to make our extinction a little more elegant and to let the next dominating species remember us better, then what art can we create to let the octopus remember us better when we extinct? In the first chapter, we try to connect with octopus through learning their movements and create a dance.
Thank you very much. Thanks for showing your work and your researches. I want to invite Clara and Joss. Clara and Joss work with familiar landscapes, the one close to us, and then the unseen ones, forgotten spaces that keep the memory of their youth and their past. Spaces where nature is taking over, transforming and changing stories of place. Those spaces can be seen as a threshold on different time and spaces, on the border between past and future. Clara and Joss developed a project that combined visual and sound intervention, interacting with some big stones in an abandoned quarry, while looking for symbolic and emotional connection to humans' inner world.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Bye-bye.
Hello. We are happy to meet you again today. In the last 20 days, we have immersed ourselves in this adventure that has deeply involved us.
Our days have been marked by walks, drawing, and musical composition sessions. A lot of time and energy went into sharing our creative process with you. It was not an easy task, and we hope to have reached you.
Our project develops through the relationship between music, visual art, and the place in which we live. Ours is still a work in progress, to which we would like to devote more time and energy. Now we would like to show you a video that presents the first step of our work. During the presentation, if you want, you can close your eyes and abandon yourself to pure listening, because the sounds are the focus of this fragment. Can you hear the sound?
Yes, very clearly. you. And well done on your work outside, even with this challenging weather that we are having in Italy.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. So next one is Malgorzata. She investigates nature growth and its movement. The human body enters in deep communication with nature through the skin, the muscles, and neural endings, through spontaneous responses of the senses. We are an equal part of flora and fauna on Terra at the same level of codependency as any other species. Humans need to learn how to respectfully interact with our changing planet, finding fluidity and embracing transformation and growth in a respectful and considering way. And Malgorzata mirrors this concept in her project. Hello.
I just wanted to say shortly, I will start with the performance. Performance has a narration from the Plants Dictionary that I was creating during these last 3 weeks. It's not finished yet because we are still going to plant a bit more. But for the narration of the performance now, I'm using chosen parts of different poems that I wrote that were inspired with the movement exploration I've been doing with all the plants during these 3 weeks. So I hope you can see well the screen, and I will start. At the beginning, we all look the same. Petroselinum crispum, parsley, pietruszka. I was born from a seed, carried by a warm wind, or on a palm of a human. Dancing greenness, fragility, rising. Where am I heading while dancing? Cucurbita pepo, zucchini, zucchinia. Hard to establish connection. Outstretched fingers of green. Dark soil, soilness, a multitude of impressions. Courgette, courage. Nymphea, water lily, lilia wodna. I'm dripping with rain. My feet submerged, my hips, stomach, breasts, shoulders. Head floating on the surface, as carried on a tray of Judith, dancing Salome. We, them, women, lilies, nymphs. We are singing, trembling. From the crimson of my belly, a white flower grows. Rosacea, rose, róża. Pain, a twinge of anger. I can't find a place for myself. Wherever I stretch my hand, place a foot, thorns. I don't like roses. Scratched earth, like a scar after a surgery. I'm waiting for it to heal. Citrus lemon, cytryna. It gives me shivers, sour sweetness on the tongue, filled with the energy of the sun. The juice flows down my forearms. The skin tingles, tingling mouth. Sweetness drops on my lips. Summer heat in the middle of winter. Cyperus papyrus. Paper reed. Papyrus. Touch of the skin. Rustle of paper. Memory. Slender leaves. Slender fingers of green. The paper blade leaves a scar on the cheek. We carry history, plants, animals, people. We write signs on the ground, in the sky, lost in the midst of information. We forgot what it means to write. Salvia officinalis, sage, szałwia. I'm turning to smoke. I am immaterial. In the silver light of the moon, you can hear me singing. I'm lightening up to cure you. Let leaves grow in your chest. Enchanted days, I breathe. Felicia ameloides, blue daisy bush, Felicia. I'm setting my head up to the sun, pulling out clenched fists as antennas to heaven. I'm standing on tiptoes, feet pointing the sky. Felicia, happy, 13th finger, smiles at the blue and laughs silently. Armeria Maritima, sea thrift, zawciąg pospolity. Pink sphere with many eyes. The rays of the sun pass between the fingers. They touch the eyes, the lips, the cheeks, caressing facial features. White crashes with the sun. Rosmarinus officinalis, rosemary, rosmarin. I will set down roots in loose sand, dry soil. Unfold in one quick stroke. I tear off fragrant leaves. I bow my head. I touch with my hair I inhale the scent of eternity. Sambucus, elder tree, best charming. Elderberry, barefacedly, seducing with scent. Full of opposites, magical and ordinary, charming and ominous. Forecast of blackness in the white flowers, poisons and cures. Sacred to goths, elves, fairies. Azalea, rhododendron, azalea. Maluka, showers with black earth, wallows in sand. Poisonous plants usually attract with beauty. High day, full sun, and the mad woman is dancing today. Elegance, battered in the composter. Helianthus, sunflower, słonecznik. I'm losing balance. Head wobbles side to side, heavy with the excess of possibilities. I'm setting my face out, closing eyes. The head bends blissfully, the charm of the hour. Do not pass away. You are beautiful. Aracase, palm tree, palma. I shield my eyes from the harsh glare. Warm skin, sweat and sun, smell of summer. The inside of my palms scarred. I'm breaking the tangled roots of the palm tree. Golden beetle walks on my skin, shines in a full sun. Crazy, noble diamond. Lavandula, lavender, lavender. I'm dreaming about watering hills of lavender. I'm falling inertly in purple, green, gray. Wrapped in a thicket, I fall asleep on a bed of lavender. I dreamt today about you. I remember. Smell, the most persistent of the senses. Asparagus densiflorus, foxtail fern, asparagus doniczkowy. Flexible, seemingly inert. Hangs up, wings, falls. Nothing reveals bulbous interior, nor kinship with an edible, proudly erect asparagus. Inconspicuous, neither weed nor herb. In gambling dances, lashes its foxtail.
Yes, I
So I hope you could hear well the text.
Yes.
Because this was a translation. I'm writing originally in Polish. And this was also not the whole poems, just some parts chosen from each plant. And I put it together for the purpose of this presentation. And I translated into English so you can understand. And that's more or less how my process looked. We were with Pablo. He is also here. We were every day, like I was planting something. And then Pablo was recording the process, and then I was doing a dance interpretation of what I planted. So the movements that I used now in the performance, some of them appeared when I was spontaneously improvising for the plants. And we are having a lot of material that is now in the edition process. So we are releasing step by step the video from each day. And yes, the project is not over, it's going to grow. I want to also continue with it in the future in other places, and we are obviously continuing with releasing the visual material. And yes.
Well, sounds very promising. So we look forward to see the development of your movement.
Thank you. Thank you.
So next, we want to welcome Hélène. She works with site-specific environmental installations. Through her sensible design, Earth speaks. Each small element of her complex composition speak only when in relation to one another. A magical ritual of collecting and bringing together that take us back to the deeper knowledge almost forgotten. A place where land is telling an ancient story of daily living and working, a story of wisdom, difficult times, sovereignty, and indigenous heritage. Hélène has created the last piece of a triptych installed along the Hélène Brook River. Hélène, you can go. Your mic is off.
Good,
Yes.
that's good. Definitely need the mic on, don't I? That would help. Hi, everyone. Yeah, thanks so much. It's been such a beautiful process, and I'm so enjoying seeing how everyone's works are finishing up. I'm just going to get my little PowerPoint happening so I can get you happening. So yeah, I've been having the most wonderful time working in the river. I just want to take you through my process of how I came to have the completed work. Great. So yeah, I've met quite a lot of locals and people who really love this little brook. This is Sky. She actually lives on the river and had quite a lot of information for me about the tributary and the health of the river. So this is Jody. She really played an important part. It's actually her land. She has a beautiful permaculture farm, community farm. It's actually her land right on the very corner. She's got a little bit of the Ellenbrook stream. And the first day we went down and I found the site for the work almost straight away. This is the photographer crew. So I had drone and video, and I'd been doing some investigating and spending some time there. But when she came, she always has such a great grounded perspective. And it was really, she said that without fresh water, we have nothing. So I really just felt that, okay, exactly, just focus on the water and the water coming down the river. And then also really recognized it as a women's place. So that was a really important part of the work. So yeah, so here it is obviously from the drone view. It's just a small little creek with lots of stones, and there's that sand bit, which I knew if I worked in there, I wouldn't disturb very much. So a really important part of what I do is I try and touch the place gently. So I tend to go in and I sweep the land, and obviously I just wanted to get it down to the sand anyway. that was just my way of getting to know the lay of the land and how it all changes, just those subtle undulations and all the different rocks, and how it might actually, how the work might sit in that space, and how I could really make it look like there was water coming down through that creek line. Okay. And also I could use the sweeping in the leaves to actually create the shapes and see, how are the shapes going to work well in that space. An important part of the work was the fact as a women's place is the wana stick. So this is the peppermint tree that grows there. So I knew I definitely wanted to work with all the sticks. We had 2 community days. You can just flick through these community ones. I mean, part of how I work is I just love weaving as many people's energy into work as I can. So this is me at the community days, and basically we're working, I made very sure I worked out that I could only use what was on site. Sometimes I just collect only from site, and other times I bring things in, but I knew this site was very precious and I could only use from there. So I actually used the reeds, and we made the wadandi string and then added the leaves onto the sticks that could be brought into the work. So you can, again, you can just go through these. It's just a whole series of different people coming down and just using the sticks and gently putting them into the sand, and really just trying to create the overall shape of how and the energy of how that water moves through that place when the water does come. So one of the bonuses of sweeping as well, that was one of the things that Nan Viv would tell me, that the Wadandi people, is if you sweep your site, when you come in the morning, you can actually see what the different animals maybe that have come through. And so sure enough, a big yonga, a big kangaroo had come through, and on the tail of that final curve, the one on the left now, he'd actually left his big tail mark, boom, and it just really felt like, okay, the work's got to be longer. And so we ended up going those tiny, tiny little sticks and actually making the work longer and having it woven right back into the rocks that are behind. When I was making the work, so this is the work that I made upper stream. And when I was making the work back down, further down the Ellenbrook, where I'm making the work now, I was sure I would be integrating some of this kind of form. These forms are actually like a hint of the human, a hint of, there was, at some level, it was more of an abstracted kind of human form. So I'll carry us down there, putting in the big yonga tail at the end of the work. I'm up here working out how I'm going to bring one of those forms from further upstream down to this area. But actually what happened while I was making the work each day, I should have actually documented it, but there was a little jilgi, or a little marin. And when I first was sweeping, I uncovered him. And I was like, oh no. And I dug down and I put him back under the sand, because really it looks quite dry there, but as soon as you scrape back the surface, it's actually really moist. And then the second day I came back and oh no, his little claw was sitting out of the sand again. And I was like, oh, so I dug him back in and I put him back in the earth. And then the third day came again and there was his claw sitting out again. So I'm going, okay, this isn't working. And actually along the banks here that you can see, there's lots of little holes, and that's where the marin or the jilgi make their home. So I dug him a little home. I ended up bringing him out, putting him in there and putting the water in there. And then the other thing that was really coming through there also in the previous work I'd done upstream is this really important book by an Aboriginal man called Bruce Pascoe, and it's called Dark Emu, Black Seeds. And basically it debunks the idea that Aboriginal people were hunters and gatherers and just sort of wandering over the land aimlessly, and actually that they were agriculturalists on the land. And at the same time, similar to the work further upstream, I looked at my own ancestry. So this is 2 Irish fish traps. So I realized that I was making 2, and actually in the shape of that little brook, I could make a fish trap, and that actually it could collect the fish. So this is the Aboriginal version. They would use rocks. And even though I was surrounded by rocks, it's very hard here with sacred places and different things. And I just really felt that actually moving the rocks wasn't a good idea. So I continued with the sticks. And I guess that's the thing, not many stick fish traps survive. So here we are breaking lots of sticks and constructing them, putting it together. And I'd have to say, just absolutely loving being down on this beautiful little creek bed. Each day, different women would come down. It didn't have to be women, but it tends to be women. And I think actually because it was a women's place, it was really attracting the girls as well. So another important part that was happening was the cockatoos. So actually when I first rocked up, it was the red tails and then we had the whites. It's actually unusual to have both sets of cockatoos together, but they were definitely up on the trees and they were knocking all these big marry nuts off. The other thing about these was actually the way that I laid them was a reminder of how the jilgi or the marron, how all their little holes, the homes that they make in the banks of the brook. Margot's having a break. So yeah, I realized that when I was making the work further upstream, and that was like almost the whisper of the human form, that actually this was the work, because I just loved being in the brook, making a work in that stream. That, yeah, the women who were coming, I was inviting them to also lie in the work, and that's a really important part of the work now. And similar to the other artists who were talking, yeah, I also feel that the work isn't finished, or still has more life, I should say. And that is double. One, it's going to be so great to see what happens when the water does come, and what will happen to it, and maybe even get a few of us down there and see if the fish trap works. You see how it's got an opening at this front edge here. Basically, you would put a shield or put a thing in there so the water can flow through, and then you put that in, and that's how the fish get trapped. But also next, you can go right through to the end now, really, just those next couple of images of the women lying in there, that it is a women's place. And I'd have to say that everyone who laid in there just felt so at peace and so happy. So, and I'm very sorry that it's been so clumsy trying to present it to you, that this is the finished work. So thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Sorry for the slowness of the connection, I guess. But it was good. I mean, I think the work speaks for itself, so it's good.
Oh, great. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we have Freyja. Through her project, she inquires into the relationship between humans and the environment, seeking a balance that comes from within. Her approach is sensible. She looks into the smallest detail of the fascinating complex nature that surrounds us. She is a sympathetic part of the ecosystem, equal to other living and non-living things. Communications open up to other than human methods, and it becomes a way of understanding our surroundings. That's why at the beginning of the residency, she shifted her perspective by taking 3 vows. Since then, she's not having any verbal communication. She's not using recreational technologies, as she doesn't use alarm clocks. Today, she comes back to a more human kind of life with a special ceremony. Welcome, Freyja.
Thank you to the forest, to the moss, mud, and mysteries. Thank you to all beings, of birds, of bugs, of trees. Thank you to the microbes, too numerous to name. Thank you to the soil and all the life within contained. Thank you to the metals, connecting us through tech. Thank you to our mothers, evolving into us. Thank you to the waters, falling fresh and salt. Thank you to the sun, from whom we all receive. Across the distance, from hub to hub, let us meet in a place of gratitude. Let's all pour our thanks into the network, from hand to tree to root. Let our us incorporate the more than human world, the perspective of many eyes. In many ways, we are different. In many more ways, we are the same. We draw our consciousness in all its varied forms from a unified field. Thank you for this reality in which we are able to give thanks. As we give out, we receive, affecting ourselves with all that we do. We pledge to join our words to action in our time, to heal, restore, and steward. The wonder of this healing is the myriad of ways in which we can do good. In a trillion choices, we all create our reality. To choose, to grow, garden, heal, teach, share, make, march, fight, and rest. We refuse to despair. Despair is paralysis. Restoration is life. Thank you, AiNIN, for giving me the space to create directly in nature. I grew up in Cornwall. My work has been involved with nature for a long time, and it's been something I've been returning to. But to have a time like this, 3 weeks, where I can focus entirely on creating and crafting directly has been. But yeah, I also want to thank the people who've been involved. So part of this process has been me acting as a sort of conduit where I am able to share this amazing opportunity with the AiNIN members and the other people in the residency, and also some friends of mine who are artists that I wanted to work with on this. So we are creating a film which will bring in all the pieces that I've collected and different artists' interpretation of that. And it's still very much a work in progress. I'm going to finish by showing sort of a small clip. The final piece will have a lot more of the digital aspects. I wanted to sort of focus today on this gratitude ceremony because that's one of the core lessons that I've been sort of receiving or just thinking about a lot. I've been finding the idea of the honorable harvest from Robin Kimmer's book, Broden Sweetgrass, has been really on my mind while I've been here working, because there have been points when for example, I expected to bring in loads of flowers and leaves and sort of fill up the caravan. And I did bring in some, but I found myself not wanting to take more than is necessary, or wanting to take less to have a lighter touch. And then just needing to express the gratitude and how much power I think that could have for everyone as a way to re-establish our position within nature. I think that's the main thing that I wanted to discuss. There's so much more. Yeah, I've got like, probably I'm going to chew everyone's ear off for the next month. But maybe now, if you could share the film. If it doesn't work, I have it on my phone. So do you want to give it a go? I wanted to say, so thank you to Elena Omura, who put together this film. And there's also work by AiNIN Curl in it. There's going to be, once the film is finished, I'll be sharing it and crediting. There's other artists who are also involved who are not in this cut yet, but will be. And a huge thank you to them. They will be sort of brought in more in the future. This edit, which I received this morning, has a bit of nudity in it. So if anyone, for any reason, would not enjoy that towards the end, just giving a sort of warning that there is some nudity involved. In the final piece, there won't be. One of the outcomes of my time here was these digital paintings, in which I place myself as an archetypal human within nature, and then I'm using technology to blend myself in it. Sort of blending has been a really important word, where we're trying to create a visual that will communicate the illusion of our separation. You know, we feel that we're separate from, and we feel that technology is this thing that's in opposition to nature, but it's actually completely nonsensical, because technology comes from nature. It's made of the materials by us, and we really all are from the same source. And that is something that is a very ancient Mayan, and all, you know, almost all pagan religions have this idea, and certainly within Eastern philosophy, the idea of oneness is very important. And it's also an incredibly recent idea, the quantum field from which reality is sort of resonating, is a very strong theory, sort of cutting edge theory in science right now. And I think the fact that those two things are beginning to line up is something very exciting that's happening. Quantum field also relates to why ceremony and ritual are important, potentially. Rupert Sheldrake's, this is Merlin Sheldrake, who just wrote Entangled Life, his father has a theory about morphic resonances, which is why ceremony and ritual are important, because by doing these things, we are in a quantum level connecting to the past and to other people who have done it before, and other creatures. So I hope that the ceremony today, I kind of created something that was new from pieces that already exist, and it's only in repetition and recognition that ritual and ceremony sort of become as powerful as they absolutely can be. Humans definitely have a need for these things. You know, you can see it in you know, recently we've been capitalism and celebrity, and you know, we love to commit ourselves to bigger things and to countries and nationalism. So I think to try and ignore that is not going to work, because humans have this need for a connection to something larger. And so in my work, I'm exploring how we can create new rituals and new ceremonies that are a balance between the old and the new. And that's something that is just a sort of teeny tiny thing that I can do, but that I think we need, that's sort of something that is a much larger task. In these 3 weeks, I've sort of really slowed down, and it's been, it's just been really, really surprising to me, actually, what I ended up doing, especially the last couple of days, where after I had kind of finished a lot of the work and sent it off to people, and then I had a sort of window where I was able to go back to some places, and that was, I think, actually the most interesting because I was then, I always find when I go traveling, it takes about 2 weeks to kind of unwind, and this is the same. It's the first 2 weeks, I think I was still here, very anthrocentric, and it's in the last week that I felt more that I was beginning to switch, and I think the ambition of understanding and communicating with nature is justly huge. You know, it's such a giant thing to do because they exist on such a different plane, and I don't want to sort of say, oh yes, I've talked to them, I understand them yet, because I think that is, I really truly want to make that connection, and it's a lifetime task, I think, perhaps, for me. Yeah, I think without the video, there's, yeah, I mean, there's so many things I could talk about. I would be interested to hear, to do questions maybe might be better, because there's been a lot. Thank you.
Thanks. And then at the end, we have Katya. Her research is based on material biology technology. Her projects inquire into the potential of a food collaboration among nature. For example, she uses mycelium, human and new technologies. Between simulation and reality, she seeks to understand nature and its patterns, loosening the grip of humans' power. She does promote interspecies collaboration from new complex morphologies. Let's follow Katya growing experimentation.
Oh, hi everybody. First of all, thank you so much for me it's morning and it's amazing Saturday morning full of inspiration, and it was really great to see your work. Later I have a comment or question for everybody, a small one. Okay, let's see where. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Cool. Good. Let's go. So the forum is one of the projects that I've been running for quite a long time. It's changed already forms so many times because I was branching in a completely different investigation in different directions. So one of the latest one, it's kind of creating an ecosystems, creating a growing environment, and then see what happens with the changing conditions, what happens kind of with the organism, and how could we push even further our collaboration and the process inside the ecosystem. How can we engineer it? So basically, I do believe that people were always learning from nature because nature is so much more advanced and we still don't understand even a small bit of it, and there is unlimited inspiration from how we can grow food or cultivate pearls in even artificial way, or how we create as a foundation of it. So it's kind of probably the most unlimited thing. And what's strong inspiration for me, it's of course all already living structures and organisms, and I enjoy looking at it as a very systemic thing, because you could see those patterns on a completely different levels, how they related to each other and how functional and amazing they are, and it's interspecies collaboration in every layer, because none of them things will be the same without another, without a plant, without a mycelium, without a cloud. So it's one system that's even taking a small bits and trying to create the interspecies collaboration. It's so much simplified compared to the environment we can see. And of course, when Freyja was saying, sending pictures from Cornwall, when you just see the most amazing nature, there. So basically, what I learned in the past, I think it just accelerates that with asking one question, instead of an answer, you get more questions and more questions that lead you further and create these unique kind of investigations and drive you. So basically, if we look into interspecies collaboration, what are these? It's kind of a new thing. So basically, what's important for us? It's participants, of course, biodiversity, and in my latest kind of investigation, I look into robots and ecology, how we will implement them, particularly in these projects. Of course, where humans stand, what's changing there, because still we start this investigation, but at the same time there is also nature without the culture, because we trace nature through culture. Of course, environment, building the ecosystem and conditions, how far we can go with changing them, and what's the results of it. And of course, human exclusion and inclusion zones, what's the boundaries, kind of what's good and bad about both. The most amazing thing is time, because the time is very different for me as a human, for a plant, for mycelium. So how in the same time frame, how could we create environment for everybody, because we live in completely different spin. Somebody has here 20 years and something has years or 100 years. And of course, how do we evaluate it? Because like evaluation of things is important. We evaluate our relationship with another human, and how could we evaluate our relationship with mycelium, and would it be the same? Of course not. So it's also looking for other ways of evaluating things. And of course, in one thing, it's we call it as like looking to shift between the Anthropocene and biocentrism, but at the same time, maybe it's not even a shift. Maybe it's more like focusing on us as a part of a bioweb and much more complex like environment, like not being centric, but at the same time, still kind of acknowledge where we are as a participant. And also like looking for a real like balance and like how to construct like this better, like what's the rules of like kind of for the players, and how it's much more comfortable and sensitive for everybody. And of course, like about evaluation, it was always this book like inspiration for like a lot of artists, architects, everybody, like by Darcy Thompson, because I really liked how he evaluated all forms, how he looked in like a very very like sensitively, like in every element of it, and how he was measuring, like how he was learning how to measure this organic form, because in a computational world, you need to describe mathematically everything what you try to do, and that's kind of a very like different logic. But at the same time, there is explanation how many, like what's the plant, everything, there is a mathematical logic in it, and we're just extracting, but it's a kind of human mind who built a mathematical logic based on a morphology. So basically, if you look and compute like in a 3D environment, like, okay, you have this like simulation or something, and you can calculate and evaluate it, but it's much more complex in the natural environment. And also like you can have like different images, like, or with the eye, like kind of trained to extract this, same like human x-rays when you are looking for like cancer. But there are so many levels of like, it's the same, like if I'll detect that you as a human don't feel comfortable with me, like how can I detect that mycelium doesn't like its growth? So it's more like much more sensitive, like. And for me, the goal is to kind of build this balanced environment, and in between computational, it's like quite synthetic and even partly feels like that, but at the same time you can simulate everything, and then a very natural, and even like looking into our culture and our human craft, or like at the same time bringing robots, how you even start, like you need to be quite systematic and have the right references for it. So basically for this one, I decided, like, because after the big experiment that I did a year ago, I had still a lot of questions, and I was viewing like different different elements. Currently I have 2 tests that are growing, but the thing is, in my mind, I'm also like exploring how it's soon will be transferred for robots. So robots will be viewing it, and how it will replace kind of and create this human exclusion zone. So then after I weaved, I kind of installed one in the right one, it's an incubator, and the left one, it will be just in a plastic kind of like envelope to protect the sample, but there is also like a small geometry because the nutrition there are different. And it's just like after the installation, but currently because there is a lot of steam and stuff, it's like it needs to be really zoomed in. That's like you can start seeing that it's how it spreads. So, but in parallel, in the digital world, I was like experimenting how it could be weaved just right, like at the same time, because I weave differently and I can't make it sterile. Like it has to go through a lot of processing and be installed and then kind of activated. But what's my ideal kind of thing and the vision for the future, that it's being weaved together with mycelium. That of course it's much slower than this simulation, but it goes very slowly as a robot can exercise its choreography and go very slowly, and the mycelium will follow up. And ideally, it won't be any weaving, that the mycelium will stick layers like together but there won't be like even weaving, there will be just fibers. So, and it's of course it's going to be like the multi-layer kind of complex process. And basically the structures will be growing gradually and developing together. Like, so even we start with the clean fibers, it goes in parallel when it's got activates and overtaking the mycelium. This is one of the projects that was done in Denmark, but what I wanted to share is a beautiful, a very different and like a computational, but a very livable, amazing texture of like, you see like this water, like the breathing, the life, and unfortunately like I can share the smell, but the smell is like it's a forest, it's kind of a beauty of like real life. So kind of looking into these textures, I try to just experiment a little bit more in computational world and bring them in, even it's still not so livable, but how it will be overtaking it. Yeah, so here we are.
Well, thank you. I think it's completely fascinating for me to see how material can, dead and alive things can work together to create something without the need of human, basically. So it's really fascinating, this possibility of matter in itself. Thank you. And now I think we have time if we want to have questions between us.
I actually have, maybe I'll start.
Go ahead, yes.
Just because I wrote down for everybody a small one. First of all, like I just hope I'll pronounce everybody's names right, because like I know the names, but I never had the chance to say it. First, like Jabao, I really liked your aesthetics of the video. Like it's just really beautiful and I think very tangible. And I somehow, because like it was like two of you, there is also the feeling that to create one octopus you need two people, and there is like also in between human very sensitive collaborations that's I think like, I don't know, create a certain reference, very like kind, because you try to collaborate with octopus, but at the same time you build a strong bond between like people. And I really like the, like when they played with their like kids toy in the sand, somehow it's like with a nice aesthetics also brought like a more cultural, like human like growing kind of process. I really liked it. Clara and Joyce, like your piece like really touched me. Like I don't know, I hope it was the same for everybody, but it's like somehow really connected with my heart. My question was for you actually. Somehow it's also, I felt like it's reminded me about sound healing. My experience when I go for sound healing sessions, and there are certain vibrations that goes like through you. But I saw this like on Instagram, you were sharing that there was like images and you were creating like the sound based on it. But I think I'm not clearly understood like what was the process, because you're not just wrote the piece, there was like a certain logic behind. So it would be really, really nice just to know a little bit. Yeah, are you here or not?
Okay. Okay, the process is a very complicated to explain for you, because we don't speak a good English. Maybe it's better to write because it's there are different passage, and if it's possible, we write in a good way this different passage and send of other of all group.
Because I really felt there was so much like complexity, but somehow it's good that it's not just composed, there is like a certain level. Like, and I saw that you like trace like image and like create like, into something that made me very curious about it. But I think the most amazing, because sometimes the processes like this like comes out to more like kind of not synthetic, but like actually nothing comes out. But here somehow a real like a really nice piece. That's why I wanted to know the logic. Okay. Malgorzata. It's a like, I hope I'm pronouncing Malgorzata.
Małgorzata.
Malgorzata. I'm so sorry. It's like you got me completely when you pronounce Petrushka, parsley. Is it the same like in like Polish, like in Russian?
Yes.
Yeah, you got me with like parsley in Russian. Actually, like, I mean, the piece is like your poetry is extremely like nice. I wanted just to share. You probably know Ahat Nari, Gaga dance.
Yeah, sure.
Because I lived in Tel Aviv and I saw a lot of shows by them, and it's like about connecting with your inner like stuff. It's probably in contemporary dance the best what I've seen. They completely got like and there is nice documentary about like
Yeah, I know it.
probably you know this all. But somehow there is like you really got the plant and the warmth and kind of was very, very nice. So you really channeled the feeling of like plant. And my question for Ellen, I was just wondering, so when the water will come back to your river, so partly it will take away everything what you created. So what I found amazing here is that it will be nice if it's all our footprint, like carbon footprint, everything like will be taken like this, that we can purify the planet so easily. So maybe I just saw this beautiful reference, like taking away everything what's left after us. So it's like your pieces. It kind of takes away like your ego to keep your peace. That's like you can let the river like destroy it. So just wanted to comment. And I mean, with Freyja, we were like in a discussion a lot, and like I really enjoyed her like sharing Cornwall images. That it's completely beautiful and unbelievable. I'm really like I'm very excited to see like the video in the end. But I was just like, I mean, you talked about like how much it's changed like you and how much experience you had like with the connection with a plant. But maybe like a few more words like about your final, like what you said, like digital pieces, like what you said, like technology will like you introduce, like and melt yourself in.
Yeah, we did have some really nice conversations. And well, funny because not conversations.
Sorry,
I've been thinking, I feel like I don't know whether I am, but I feel like I'm being really blah, 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 compared to my usual. I'm just excited to be talking.
It's amazing to hear your life.
And also, Katya sent me a little 3D model idea, which I am working on, because I'm going to be, and thank you everyone who sent me your work. I'm going to be staging this exhibition basically as soon as it's sunny. Patience is something that I've had to learn. I had a couple of hard days where I couldn't get what I wanted because the weather changed in Cornwall, and I've had to sort of remember and learn that you can't rush things. Katja, I really identify what you're talking about, time. And for me, the importance of the technology and for the final digital paintings, there will be hopefully some really beautiful animation of, so I used my phone was kind of, and the phone is always present right now for all of us. The phone is this technology that we kind of almost forget about, but it's really this insane computer that we all carry around with us so casually. Well, those of us who are lucky enough to have, not everyone has one, must take note. But all of us here right now have computers and laptops. And I just think that it's such a powerful tool, and it can be used for so many purposes. And if we were to use the full power of technology, which is our minds, rather than to be making life more convenient and kind of continuing to incrementally improve the lives of some people whose lives are already really good, if we were to really put that full technology power into re-establishing our connection and our position within nature. I think that's something that is already beginning to happen. That's sort of a direction that I see towards this more optimistic biophilic future. So that's why for me the technology is something that I always want to really put forward along with the nature, because I don't think that we need to be throwing anything away. We need to be moving forward and combining all of our strengths.
No, I completely agree. I think like we have this very similar attitude toward this.
I think we do too. Yeah, yeah. I think, and also we're both into biocentrism. I think you mentioned it. And yeah, but that's definitely where I'm at. I think now that I can talk, I'm gonna call you. We're gonna have some great chats.
Nice. I'm looking forward.
So that's very good that you found something in common to develop further. Yes, well done. And someone else?
Yes, and yeah, Freyja, Katia. Oh, sorry.
No, you go. I've got a question for you, Jay, so I'll go after. You go first.
Oh, yeah. I'm so down to chat more about because I think we have a lot of overlapping direction as well.
Sure.
And a question for Freyja and Katia. For Freyja, while you are totally inside the nature, like what's your daily ritual? What are the things you do every day? And how do you connect to nature? Like really down to earth, what exactly do you practice to do that?
Yeah, I'm so jealous of everyone who's in these warm, lovely places. It's cold here. And actually, as is almost always the case, there was a strength to that as well, because going out into it, and also when I took the photos, for me, a really like natural thing that I have to retrospectively understand and explain is to take my clothes off. And by doing that, of course, I'm removing the protection and the boundaries, and it's hard. You know, it's cold and it's hard, and I'm covered in scratches. And I have to use a lot of sort of breathing techniques to endure it. But by doing that, I definitely felt something else kind of driving me. You know, the way you move my body was very driven by the physical conditions that were around me. And also what ended up being really strong as a way to sort of help me connect to nature was this wild window thing that I did. That I kind of did, was on the first day, and I was like, oh, I want to connect. I know that I wanted to like bring AiNIN members and humans who are unable to be in nature. I wanted to try and share some of this with them. And so I kind of on a whim was like, okay, I'll just do a live stream every day. But it became something really big. And I did a lot of like asking questions, inviting people to interact with me. And thank you to everyone who did, because maybe for example, someone would say, can you look at lichen tomorrow, lichen? And I would be like, okay. And then to the next day for the wild window, I would be focusing on that. And it's not that I might have myself thought to look at lichen, but having someone else or another human direct your gaze made me do things and go places that I might not have done myself. And so I saw things through a fresh eye, I think. So those are sort of two things that I think helped me to really be out here in this amazing, beautiful place and connecting anew in a new way that was new for me.
Yeah,
right?
That's beautiful.
I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
I was interested in what you're saying about borders and boundaries, because animals do have boundaries and borders, and I wondered if that was in your thinking, or because they don't build walls, which is a really big difference. And I love sort of thinking about that difference, because I think many people would agree right now that walls are not something that we want more of. We want less walls. And animals don't have walls, but many animals are incredibly territorial and violently so. And I wanted I wonder what you thought about that.
Yeah, that's also a question about myself. But I guess the difference is the way we think about all the border it's anthropocentric. It's totally redefined. And if it's defined by some other animals, the boundary is different. Even their territory is different. And the way that the squid swim in between, like when I placing the squid in it and it's swimming around and people coming by say, now the squid just immigrated to China and southern China. Now it's a Chinese citizen, or it just crossed the border, or now it's going to New Mexico, and it doesn't make any sense in their world. So like shifting the view makes the territory, the country border change the border. Sorry, it's 3 a.m. now and my brain doesn't work fast.
Oh my goodness, it's so late. Thank you for being awake. Oh my gosh.
But actually, like about Anthropocene no borders, like a few years ago with Strelka Institute, we did like a small speculative movies, like with Liu Yang, the professor who is like focused on speculation, like a video. And there was like about birds. The birds were crossings that we were tracing kind of birds that were not allowed, but they can be even a weapon. Like if you can control birds, it's like flies from one country to another as a path. Like they can spread anything, they can go like people can go, or like plane can go, but like birds have this power. And because they all have like so much, like now they're tracing their path, like you still go like how they change or how like something. So it was very like interesting. It wasn't like so long, but there was very interesting research that we flew to Far East Russia to film it. It was like kind of similar about borders and like boats. And also like Freyja reminded me, if I forget like to send you. There's like a beautiful website simulation by my friends, also from the same think tank, about rituals and simulation, that they're simulating a new rituals on kind of that could be created by digital assets, but they will explain it better. It's kind of quite a lot of philosophical work by my like friend, and there was like technically very complicated and also philosophical, and they just spin these rituals don't stop. Like, so I can send you both. Like,
yeah, please send me. It sounds great.
Yeah, that'd be great. And like you mentioned bird, I was talking to Margaret, the scientist. She was saying like part of the Darwin evolution theory, it's like when you look at bird through the shape of their beak, you can tell what food they eat. But for fish, it's totally different. You can't tell because the way how they eat in the water, how they suck the water and then eat the food is totally different from on land. Whereas all the animals come from the water, but most of the science we're doing are terrestrial, are from the land. And how by shifting which is the center, it will influence a lot of the way that we actually perceive either the culture or the science.
Yeah, I think we don't understand so little about like even our human like neuroscience or anything. We like such small percentage we know. The same like on the Earth we're a bit better, but still just figuring out. But ocean is just an unknown kind of territory. That's I really think like you need to shift a lot the way of thinking to start understanding more about it.
When you were speaking about rituals, I thought about Elaine's work, because I think her work is really connected to rituals. Maybe Elaine, you can, because I don't think they have they could follow your talk about that we had together about the importance of acknowledging Aboriginal elders when you make a site-specific piece. Could you say something about these kind of rituals or the importance of acknowledging land? in your work?
Yeah, I was saying, yeah, in the video, obviously here in Australia, we've got a history of around 60,000 years, all those footsteps of people gone before. And I'd say across Europe and in all our places is that when I do the site-specific work, sometimes I'm getting whispers of stories and things that I wasn't completely understanding, that weren't coming through from an ecological sense, but more like a deep human cultural sense. And those whispers are still in the land. And that idea of like there's sacred sites, places where people have done ritual over time, and just simple ritual like honoring the place where it is. But obviously here in Australia, some of those rituals are very sophisticated, and definitely learnt through Chris Booth. He's like a New Zealand land artist, and he definitely took those steps forward to actually moving from more just like an ecological story of place to an historical human relationship with place, and acknowledging and seeing all those footsteps that have gone before. And so definitely here in Australia, I mean, for most meetings and most things now, they always do a welcome to country where they acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we all stand. Obviously that's quite different because we're a colonial landscape, same as in Britain and many other places. So I think it's really important here, but I can imagine being where everyone is, where we all live, when we go out into nature, those ancient ones, our own ancestors and other people's ancestors have walked across those lands and have laid stories. And I think
what's the relationship between those two?
So basically all this kind of vegan or natural thing, like it's a food, it's nutrition for it. So it doesn't grow before you put it in food. And usually it connects with like sawdust, with like wooden like stuff, kind of hunting for sugar and a good exchange to start growing. And what basically I research, how I can navigate this organism in the air, not under the ground where it grows naturally, or like as usually people grow it in forms. How can I just kind of trigger it? And first of all, it creates a very different form in terms of more fluffiness, more snow looking like. At the same time, it follows the path, like, and it likes when it's kind of things are compact. So when you create, it's more like airy and weaved, like it's very different for it. And some things it likes and some stuff it doesn't. So it's kind of more also researching it. Because people now, when I started like 4 years ago, it was just like a few projects about it and just few startups, but now it's blooming like crazy. Like I think mushrooms is just like everywhere. I personally already like switching to other stuff, like, but still like introducing robotics now is very interesting here, because I really want very slow robots kind of move and go together, not that it's pre-weaved or prepared. That's because my shift was like what was like aha moment for me when I shifted it from just trying to produce a piece at home, when I shifted to the gallery, when it's like you can watch the ecosystem and how it develops day by day and it's alive. So it's not important for me at all what grows in the end. I mean, it would be nice, but like the main thing is what's happening during the process, and that you can see it, that it's not under the ground, that it's open up. And now it's like, yeah, if I completely can't kind of step out and like let it be a human exclusion zone, it's a partly reference what we're feeling as a human during the COVID, when we are like pretty much become a biological weapon for each other. Like, I don't know if you are healthy or not, and everybody's like, okay, I'll stay a bit away. So kind of could be this human exclusion zones, good or bad, kind of also look into it. But also like look like about human ecology and robot communication, and maybe also introducing sound, because yeah, I'm collaborating with somebody, like I have like a robotic background as well, but with somebody who's like more building robot, it maybe introduce also sound, electronic sound, how it can stimulate mushrooms. But yeah, answering your question, it's mainly nutrition. It could be very different things because there are people who growing it on coffee, on compost, like on a, my thing is like fibers and weaving, but there were like initially it was like sawdust. So yeah.
Cool. There's an exhibition called Mushroom. I don't know if you're aware of that. Mushroom something something. Like they put together everything about mushroom fungi. Like somebody made a suit. Somebody made some a shoe out of mushroom. Yeah, it was a fun. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, please send me the link.
Yeah.
Anyone else? No, otherwise we can close.
I just wanted like to quickly say thank you to you and any of the members. That it was like a complete joy. Just because we're so different and at the same time so related through nature, it was truly inspiring during because I personally experienced in COVID like concrete jungle, like kind of coming back home and spending like a lot of time like back, but not traveling, not seeing the new people. It was very nice to meet all of you.
Yeah, there was
Also,
the
like,
meeting
to
where
hear new ideas.
yeah, to have a place to discuss and share and have something new growing. Yeah. So maybe if you turn off your mics, we can say goodbye.
Say something.
Oh yes, please,
Yes,
Lorna.
I'm not putting the video on because when I started, I just got out of bed.
Yes.
I had a bit of trouble connecting because I thought it was through Facebook and I didn't realize you had to go in through Facebook into Zoom.
Yeah, yes.
I missed the first. I missed 10 minutes. So will I be able to see?
Yes, we are gonna make like last time. We're gonna share the recordings.
Yeah. Can I just say, congratulations. I had no idea how amazing this would be. I can't believe how these residencies have worked out. And if this is the future of AiNIN, bring it on. It's just, I really was almost crying because it was all so beautiful and so thoughtful and so different and so new. And using technology, and it's been a year of COVID and lockdown, and I mean, I've been fine, I've been working, but I haven't seen my family since last August, desperate for hugs. And watching all this and seeing, you sort of realize that life will go on, and eventually it is normal. But I just want to congratulate all of you. And Elena, my God, you've done the most fantastic job. Incredible.
Thank you.
Can I say something? That was Lorna, by the way. She's our secretary and she's been a member of AiNIN from the beginning. So she's been part of the organisation for a long time. So thank you, Lorna.
So I'm not
I was also wanted to ask the group too, because you seem to have built this lovely rapport. I love the way you're all asking each other questions at the end. Have you thought about whether you want to maintain contact with each other and maybe, or a couple of you, sort of like a support session each week or each month? Because Eleanor and I are in a small collective where we meet weekly, and we found it hugely supportive. You know, some weeks you haven't got much to talk about, and other times you've got a project you're working on together, or maybe just want to tell each other. And I just wondered if some of the residents had thought about whether they want to continue a relationship with other members at all.
Yeah, we've already discussed, especially because we weren't actually able to have three-way conversations. So I know that us three, although I'd love to continue to talk to everyone, but yeah, we have already planned to like have a good chat. So I think there will be some continuing communication.
Good. Well, that sounds excellent, because I just felt that there was quite a connection with some of you, that you must have had quite a lot to do with each other. Been on a residency myself. At the moment, it's pouring with rain up in the mountains here. in Australia, but the connection with the other artists has happened so deeply after just a few, you know, like a week and a half, and seeing how you're all relating, it's quite precious time. So yeah, I would recommend if some of you do maintain that. Also, I'll sort out your paperwork and your payment. Forgive me, I am on a very intensive residency. It might be a little bit late, so can you all bear with me too on that one? So I'll get that all sorted out. Okay, I'll shut up now, but thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very
everyone.
much. Thank you.
Yeah,
It'll be great.
It's been fantastic. And Freya, I know how cold it is. I'm near Manchester. It's really cold.
It's cold. My feet are frozen. But it's funny because I'm definitely getting more used to it. I remember the first time I took my clothes off to take the picture, I was so quickly getting dressed. And then yesterday I was at the beach, and I mean, I was just sort of hanging around naked. And then eventually I was like, whoa, okay, I've reached that point. But I think my body's kind of remembering that actually humans used to not have as much clothing and warmth and stuff.
So are you not normally in Cornwall?
I was born in Cornwall, and I come down here every summer, but I live in London.
Right. Well, London's a bit warmer. I'm in Cheshire, so it's a bit nippy up here.
Well, I live in a warehouse in London, so it's pretty cold.
But I always feel like that's like I'm thinking so much how to go back to nature and like travel somewhere and just stay for a little bit in nature, and seeing like Freyja all the time, like working around. I'm like, that's like my second part, because like I'm here in concrete jungle and she's just like completely in nature. And what she said, like I'm so inspired by lichen images that she sent, and I just asked her like, is it like there are images of this, and she just like found a very beautiful one, very inspiring. So it's kind of,
I can awesome. I'm so glad that we both love lichens.
It'd be great that we can all in one group, like either WhatsApp or any other platform that everybody is comfortable with.
Well, we've got that WhatsApp chat, so we will definitely will.
Yeah, but I think it's also like three of us, we will like have a talk because we already have like connection and engagement. But another part, it will be also nice, like if somebody will somebody is interested, like I'm personally very open to have like a call or reach out, like also because we all have very different skills and backgrounds. I think it could be very fruitful and collaborative.
Well, but also similarities, I think, a lot. No matter the ways we have working, there are a lot of, the way of thinking, I think, is really similar and connected. So well, let's keep it on and let's see what comes out of it. If you, of course, if you have materials that you want to share about this project or any other project with AiNIN, just please feel free to do it in the future. And then I'm gonna contact you again and again, I think in the next weeks, because of we have to still making the last video. So about you, and I'm gonna ask some more material, and but yeah, that's it. And then we see what happens next. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. For me, it was wonderful.
Thank
to get
you.
to know.
Thank you for
Bye-bye.
all.
Thank
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.